What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/ProRevenge. Now, in today's first story, a gambling addict using his company money to fund his addiction accuses OP of stealing from the company when in reality he is the one stealing. But what OP does when they are fired is pretty incredible stuff. But what OP does when they get fired unjustly is pretty incredible, pretty much becoming a spy on their old company and ruining this guy's life. Accuse me of stealing, you will lose everything. This happened way back in the Dark Ages, 1986. I was 21 at the time and working for a gas station that was associated with a certain grocery store chain in Washington state. It was owned by a company not affiliated with said chain, but it had locations at nearly every one. As this was long before the days of debit cards, this was a cash-only gas station. We didn't even take credit cards. Customers would pull up, pump their gas, and then come to my window to pay. We also sold cigarettes. No drinks, no snacks. Customers couldn't even get into my booth. I had been working there about a year when the company announced it was closing the location. My manager and I were offered positions at another location upstate, and we both accepted. We moved our respective families and started our new jobs as new hires. This station was incredibly busy. We did more business in 8 hours than my old location would do in a week. This location also had a different setup. Here, you would pull into the station from a single entrance, pump your gas, and then drive forward to a single exit where the Pay Here booth was located. There were always 2 cashiers on duty. Each cashier had a cash drawer. One thing I should note, there were also no computers. So, closing the drawer down between shifts was time-consuming and tedious. We had to manually count the cigarettes remaining and count the cash drawers. We would fill out an end-of-shift report listing the starting balances and the ending balances. We also had to list the gallons sold from each pump. At the end of the shift, the total of gallons sold and the total cigarettes sold should equal the cash balance. It is important to note here that not once in the year I had worked for the previous location had I been off by more than 10 cents. The following morning, after my first shift, I was informed by the manager that I was short $50. Impossible, I said. I balanced out yesterday. He said that I must have stolen that money after I had completed the paperwork. I just looked at him and said, no, I didn't. He gave me a verbal warning and said if it happened again, I would be fired and the stolen money would be deducted from my paycheck this week. In the 5 days that followed, I realized quickly the manager was up to something. My old manager, who was just another worker now, was also accused of stealing, as was one other new employee. I can't vouch for the other employee, but I'm pretty sure she did nothing wrong. The employees that had been there a while were never accused of anything. I did some checking and found out this manager was relatively new. He'd only been there for about 6 months, and the other cashiers had been here before him. Only new cashiers were being accused of stealing, and that location had been having stealing problems for about 6 months, and the turnover was high with the new employees. I came to work at 6 a.m. on a Monday, only to be told I was being fired for cause. The manager accused me of taking $500 out of my drawer the previous Friday. He said he only discovered it this morning, even though he had worked Saturday and Sunday. I just said okay and left. I was pretty angry, and instead of going home, I parked in the grocery store parking lot and proceeded to settle in to watch the gas station. I knew that at 9 a.m. sharp, he would take the cash in the safe and make the weekend deposit. At 9 a.m., he left the gas station and headed to the bank. But instead of walking into the bank, he walked into the Indian casino next door. It's not really a casino like we think of today, but more of a betting parlor for the races. It did have slot machines, but no card tables. I think to myself, well, this is interesting. He comes out of the casino at exactly 10 a.m, walks next door to the bank, does his business, and then heads back to the gas station. I head home with a plan. Every morning, I follow him from the gas station to the casino. I take a picture of him leaving and one of him arriving at the bank and walking into the casino. I take pictures of him coming out and then heading to the bank. I do this for 5 days straight. He even went on Saturday. On day 3, my old manager was fired for stealing $150. I get the film developed, no digital cameras in the Dark Ages, note the times and dates on the back of each one. Then I call the main office of the gas company. It's after 5, but I'm hoping someone is there. And there is. I speak to a woman and explain my situation, and she says she knows exactly who I should speak to and transfers me. By some grace of God, she has transferred me to none other than the president/CEO of the company. I tell him my story and tell him I did not steal from his company and could prove who actually did. He took down my information and said he would be in touch. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. The next morning, I went to the station to perform my usual observation of the manager. At 9 AM, he leaves for the bank. At 10 AM, he comes out. At that moment, two stern-looking gentlemen approach him. One pulls out his wallet and shows him something, the other one is talking. The manager goes pale and takes a step back. Next thing I know, he is being escorted to a car I hadn't noticed and they drive off. I lose them at a traffic signal, so I head back to the station. But they all show up about 5 minutes later, and a few minutes after that, a police cruiser pulls in. The officer talks to the stern gentleman and proceeds to place the manager in handcuffs. The other man says nothing, but is glaring daggers at the manager. The president called me later that afternoon and informed me that the manager had been arrested for embezzlement. It turns out that in 6 months, he had managed to steal about $5,000. He would take the stored cash into the casino and gamble with it. If he won, he would make the normal bank deposit. If he lost, he would make the deposit and note in his records that we had been short the previous day. The CEO had already been focusing on that location because of the stealing and high turnover rate, but my information helped them figure out what exactly had been going on. I was thanked and sent a substantial check as a reward. My old manager was offered the manager's job and I was offered my old job back. I declined as I had already found another job that I liked more and paid better. The gambling manager was sentenced to 1 year in jail and ordered to attend counselling for his gambling addiction. His wife divorced him and took their 3 children to California. His house was foreclosed on and he ended up in a homeless shelter. Don't accuse me of stealing. I will get revenge. Oh, wow, OP, that is just, it's so elite from you to do that. I mean, the majority of people put in your situation, I reckon they will react as such. They would think, you know what, I know I haven't stolen here, and it's really hard to take this, being, 5 for something that I haven't done, but such is the way that the world works. Oh, it's annoying, but I'm going to have to get a new job, and that's going to be the end of it. Look, there is some injustice here, but what can I do about it? Nothing really, time to move on. But OP was like, nah, F that, I'm going to do it my way. And then proceeds to become an undercover cop and stalk out this place for the next week or so, just like becoming an espionage spy, doing incredible stuff, and ultimately catching a criminal. Because, yeah, embezzlement is exactly what was going on here. That is fraudulent, that is criminal, this person is going to prison. I mean, it's incredible stuff. Just how committed you were to finding out what really was happening in this situation is awesome. And I guess it shows that if you are, persistent and you make sure that justice is actually done, then yeah, amazing things happen. Like in this situation, the guy's gone to prison, you could have had your old job back, but most importantly, your old manager is now the manager. So you have given someone a job, an amazing job probably, that they used to love and they didn't have anymore because it was taken out of their hands by a criminal, by a fraud, you could say, quite literally here. But yeah, you've changed your life, and I've got to say to you, OP, you're an amazing person. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of r/ProRevenge. I really hope you have enjoyed it, and if you did and you want more right away, check out this playlist of all my ProRevenge videos. If you are new to my channel, make sure you are subscribed by hitting this button and turn notifications on so you never miss one of my double daily uploads throughout December. And if you want some lovely merch for Christmas, then it's pretty much the last day you can get it before, you're risking it not coming on time. That is down here as well. It's lovely stuff, helps me out massively, and yeah, you'd be supporting the channel to a massive, massive extent.